Happy New Year, everyone, and I hope you all had a great New Year's Eve. Take a look at this beauty. This, of course, is the latest Helloween album. And when the album came out last year, I had a great chat with the one and only Michael Kiske. You can hear the interview right now. I could imagine that you're doing quite a lot of interviews at the moment.
They're fun.
Yeah.
They're actually fun. It's just great people. I'm not just saying that, you know. It always sounds cheesy, but there was no bad interview, no boring interview. All just cool people and great conversations.
Yeah, and
what's not to like about it, you know?
And it's all for the passion, I think.
Yeah,
well.
exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's the reason why. It's like, especially in this music scene, and when you do something like that, and you have had such a long history with a band, you know, or the band in general having such a long history, usually you attract a lot of people that are passionate about it. Nicer sort of spirit than when you talk to people who don't give a damn. You know, when you have like people who write for magazines or like newspapers and they don't even really know who you are, and then have those standard questions. We haven't had those yet. You know?
Beautiful. And I think it's just beyond incredible that you guys are back in the biggest and the best formation ever.
Yeah, I'm so happy that you guys think like that, because when you make an album, you can't force it in any direction. You can just let it happen. You know, you can just work with the songs that the songwriters have, and then you have an album in the end, and you have a feeling about it, and we liked it. That's why we said it's done. Okay. Yeah. But you never know how this is going to come across, how other people are going to react to it. So we are all very happy. I think this is the best feedback we've ever had with an album, probably. You know, with me and Kai, you know, there is a big fraction of people, or like army of people who wanted us to come back. Yeah. You know, they're back on the scene and they're happy that this is happening now. But also you have this Corona pandemic, you know, where everybody is like no concerts and nothing, and everything's negative. You know, the media is always just negative, because a negative twist is always more entertaining, which it shouldn't be, but that's what the news today are, entertainment, to draw our attention to those newspapers. That's all they want. They don't give a damn if it's true. They just want our attention. It's ridiculous, but it's all negative. You just flooded by this negativity, and I think people are just hungry for something positive.
Some positive stuff.
I'm not saying the album is bad. It's a great album, you know. I think it has to do with the album, but the situation and people being tired of this negative, down-forcing crap that just want something uplifting. So.
Yeah, and that was actually one of my things, because to me, Helloween and you guys have always been about joy, happiness, positive vibes and all that. Also in the lyrics. And on this album, we have songs like Best Time. I mean, that's a fucking happy title, you know.
Yeah, we just made a video about it today. I just came back yesterday. We made a new video. A real one. It's going to be fun. And there's a little surprise. There's someone in that video that a few people will be surprised that person's in the video. Yeah. But that was always what I loved about Helloween. You know, I grew up with Elvis and the Beatles, and then when I got 14, pretty much around when I got 14, I met my still friend Carsten, who was a drummer, and he was also part of my school band later on. But I met him at that age, and he was into hard rock and metal. He was introducing me to AC/DC, Kiss, but more important for me was Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Black Sabbath, with Dio especially, these kind of bands. Queensryche didn't really exist by that time. Or we didn't know about them. No, I think they didn't. They came later on. I remember that we've been to an Iron Maiden concert, Peace of Mind tour, and I had to do exams in school, and I was and in that phase there was I think it was Ronnie Dio was touring, I think with Holy Diver. I'm not sure. It could also be Lost in Line. It's very difficult sometimes to. Yeah. And it was Queensryche was opening up for Ronnie Dio, and that's when we saw them. Oh yeah. You know, I was like, wow, that's so cool. And then we were listening to The Warning, which is still my favorite album. I don't know. I think it is so different. It has such a almost avant-garde kind of feel, and he sings like very open. And he gave a lot more than he did later on. Later on, he changed a bit his style. It's still cool, but my favorite singing of his was definitely that record, you know.
Yeah.
And it was very inspiring for me too, because I was trying to sing, and you know, I was a big Maiden fan. I was and Hellfoot fan. I was trying to sing as high as I could, but when I heard that dude, I was hearing there are these kind of ways of doing. Okay, I learned a lot technically. But it's like, how did I come to that metal? I was always into these. I like rocking sounds, but I always had difficulties with these satanic kind of bands, you know, who idealize inhumanity and brutality and stuff like that. There's a difference between dealing with the darkness within humanity, which is undeniable. This is how we learn. The difference between good and evil is to have both inside. So it's not that there are saints and sinners. We're all both. Trust me. We all have light and darkness inside. We all have good and evil inside. But it's a choice we make what we're trying to cultivate, what it is we try to work for, and what direction we want to go. You know, and I always had like a growing problem with that part of the metal scene and is glorifying evil and trying to tell youngsters that having no heart means that you have a strong individuality. You just don't have a heart. That's all there is to it. For a strong personality, you should have a big heart, because that gives the personality. You know, that's the true self. It grows here, not here, and not down there. But it's like Helloween was always different in that sense. It's very true. When Marcus once showed up in the rehearsal place where I was rehearsing with my school band, which was the school actually I was before in, it was very nice. They allowed me to practice there, even though I wasn't going to that school anymore for free. There's no coincidence in life. And Marcus once showed up there, and it was the time when Kai Hansen said, "I don't want to sing anymore.
No.
You know, I can do it for 2 or 3 days, and then my voice is gone." So we need a singer, and I just want to play guitar. And so Marcus showed up because they heard about me. There was no internet, obviously. There was not even mobile phones or anything like that. It didn't exist. So you still had to make phone calls and make plans to meet somewhere, to meet people. You know, it's not like this.
Luckily, we didn't have Corona.
I didn't like it. It wasn't my cup of tea. I told you what kind of music I was listening to. Yeah. And that was different to the thrashy sound of Walter Jericho. So I never called, you know. No. And I told them, I thought, no, I stick with my band. But then, a few weeks later, Michael Wyckoff was calling me up. And he said, yeah, I know, it's a very thrashy record, you know. We had to do that to draw some attention to this band. But we want to develop. We need someone like you to do something else. Why don't you show up at the rehearsal room and we show you the songs we've written for your voice? And that's what I did. And I was a game changer. It was a game changer. They already had like some of the key songs for the Keeper records that they had written in those days. And it was funny. I just realized, I just remembered by talking about these things, like in interviews, because they always ask, you know, how did it come together and stuff like that. Yeah. We never actually said that I'm in. We never talked about that I'm the singer. It was just clear, you know. We did it, and then we continued. But it was never a meeting where we said, okay, you are the new singer, which was funny because usually that's the way it goes.
But that's another thing about passion, right? Which we were talking about earlier, that when you have the passion and you have the vibe between the guys, it's
that's all that matters. It's when I always say that because it's hard. I don't know if you play in a band, but it's hard for people who don't make music and who don't know how it is when I can take my guitar and sing a song, but it's a different situation when I play with 2 or 3 other people. Yeah. And we do something together. And a real band is not just a few people making music together. It's when those people have a karma connection and they create something that's bigger than the individuals. That's a band. And that's why it's so dangerous when you have a band that has that, to exchange people. Yeah. Always very risky because it destroys the balance, you know. And it doesn't have to, often does.
And obviously, one of my questions, and a question that I could imagine you have been answered a lot of times, is also regarding this. I'm playing in a band with, you know, we're only 5 people, and only, and you guys are 7. Has it been any difficult? I mean, you guys are 7 songwriters on this album. Has it been any difficult to choose which songs to have on the album? And
we're definitely never short on songs. That's for sure. But me and Donnie doesn't. I don't think Donnie writes songs. I don't know. Maybe he does, but he doesn't. He didn't do. And I didn't write any songs for this album either. I was kind of leaving it to the, in my opinion, key songwriters.
Yeah.
My stuff is always very different, and sometimes it works.
Mm-hmm.
And very often it doesn't. You know, it's the band job to see if this could make sense in a Helloween context. There's not much we can't do. When you look at the history of the band, we've done so much. We can do anything actually. Maybe we couldn't do jazz. Or if we would rap, it would be a pretty stupid thing to do. But in terms of rock music, rock, pop, metal, you know, this sort of range, I think we could do pretty much everything. But still, when I write a song, and it was the same when I started off, even in my heaviest metal days, maybe a little more in those days, but normally I don't write a metal song. I write a song. I just write a song. And then it is what it is. And if I feel like it is especially good and it could maybe work with the band, I play it to the band. And if they think it's cool, then we start working on it. And it happened, for instance, with We Got the Ride from Keeper 2. I had the verse, the bridge, the chorus, you know. The song is like that, but it was a much wilder arrangement. Tons of parts in it, like you tend to do it in younger years. And Kai Hansen was the one who did this. That was his thing. He added it to it, and that's what a band has to do. They have to make it a song for the band, and that might even happen in the future, because I kind of relaunched my. I'm making an acoustic album right now with lots of my own songs and also covers. Hopefully that's maybe going to start my songwriting again. But it'll always depend on the band being able to make a Helloween song out of it. But that's always how it was, you know. And the key songwriters to me are Wyke, Hansen, Andy Darius for sure. Also Sasha. To me, they're the key songwriters. He did Best Time. But he was working with Andy on that one. It happens very often when someone doesn't get a song finished that someone else jumps in, you know. But it's a great thing to have that many songwriters, I find. Because when we started, like it was this time, when you make the decision, we did that after the first tour, because I was like sick the whole time. I caught something in South America, and I should have taken a break. Just said, fuck it, I gotta cure this out. Instead of that, I was continuing, you know. And I was like taking medicine. I was almost drunk every night. Every night, I was like 2 huge glasses of red wine. You know, that was the only way not to limp on stage, because after a while, my immune system was going wild. My immune system was getting into my left leg. And without painkillers and alcohol, I couldn't move normally. So it was really dangerous. It's not a good thing to treat your body like that. And I won't do it again. But I did it for the thing. You know, they just wanted us to pull it through.
Especially in South America.
It was the hardest tour I've ever done. Even though the energy was amazing. The energy between the band members and the audience was amazing, but it was physically a nightmare. But after that tour, we made that decision. You know, it worked so great. The energy is so good. Let's try to make an album. You know, who can do that? But that was not the plan right from the start. We just made contracts for the live tour because nobody knew what was going to happen, you know. And not so much in terms of success. That was pretty obvious because ticket sales were amazing, you know. But if we get along, or if we like on tour start, but it was not at all like that. It was amazing. We kind of grew together, which was beautiful, you know, much more than I even could have expected. I started off saying yes to this because I wanted to get the shit out of my system. You know, I wanted to make peace. Yeah, I've been carrying that with me for over 20 years, you know, way more than that even.
Actually,
almost 30 years. Not really. It dropped out of my system. I just didn't know. You know, I recognized that down the line when I ran into Michael Kiske in 2013. That's when I first noticed something has changed because I wasn't angry anymore. No. It was just gone. And we talked, which was interesting. That was, to me, a game changer. But I've lost it again.
But you played the tour and then you arranged to do an album.
Yeah, and then we did the first brainstorming session about which songs to do or what ideas the songwriters might have or whatever. I think we did that early 18, like in April. We did the first session already there. With lots of ideas, and I thought, like, wow, this is going to be a cool album, And that's the great thing about having so many songwriters. And another thing that is very positive and almost a miracle is that the egos get along, because it's like we are older now, so it's like when you get older, the egos are usually not as big anymore. You tend to grow a little wiser, Most people do.
Look at Axl Rose.
But you gotta want it. If you don't want it, you don't evolve. It's not gonna happen. You have to want it. You can hold all your evolution back if you don't want it, and you can get even worse by getting older, And then you're just an old asshole compared to a young asshole. But it's like that was so beautiful about it. There was almost no ego thing going down. I mean, everybody has this ego, and when you write a song, it's like a baby.
Yeah, of course.
You just love it. And when people start twisting it around, it usually quickly hurts the feelings of the songwriter, but that wasn't the case.
Okay.
It's like everybody was kind of happy when someone suggested something that made the song better, and that's the way it should be, There was very, very few things like that going down, and it was never getting loud or anything like that. There was never any fights. It was just discussions, and people had their opinions and stuff like that.
No chairs flying in the air or anything.
Yeah, it was a lot different when we were younger.
Yeah,
absolutely. And the funny thing is, in the 80s, Mikey was the difficult one. He was really, really difficult.
Yeah.
He was always trying to pull the strings everywhere behind backs and stuff like that. And he had great ideas, and he struggled a lot getting those ideas through. And I was supporting him all the time because I thought his ideas were very cool.
Yeah.
No one else would do Rise and Fall, Dr. Steen, these kind of things. It's like, you can imagine how the reaction of Ingo, Marcus, and Kai in the rehearsal room usually would be in those days. It was like, well, that's not a metal song, And it was very often that he had to fight a lot to get this through. But that was the artistic side. But he was also, as a person, quite difficult in those years. He's not anymore. Not at all. He's completely easygoing. He doesn't want any fights. He just wants harmony and everybody to be happy. Kai is a lot more difficult these days.
Yeah?
I used to be just rock and roll. He used to be very productive, and he still is rock and roll. Rock and roll to the death.
To the bones.
Yeah, the bone. But he is more complicated these days. He used to be. It used to be easier for him to be in a band and to understand how a band works. He's getting there. I think he's also in a phase that he has finally understood the benefits of having someone like Sasha. Someone like, even our management, like Jan Bayati is a fantastic manager.
Yeah.
We were always just screwed in the 80s. We were just surrounded by sharks. Everybody wanted to get the biggest piece of the cake, which was part of what teared the band apart in the end. They had a share. Definitely had a share. That's not the case anymore. But it's like we're not used to that. We're not used to a situation where everybody's really working together, which also contains the need for trust. You have to be able to trust. If you give someone a job to do, when you give that person that job, you got to trust him or her to do the job. Otherwise, you should do it yourself, And especially when you have been in a situation that Kai has been with his comrade for so many years, where he's like the chancellor of his kingdom. It's like nothing else happens other and just what he says. What has to happen will happen. And also this kind of thing that is like he doesn't have anyone saying anything above him. Like you probably have a boss. Like he's not used to anything above him. We're all kind of like that, okay? But in a band, it is really important to understand that we're equals and that we work together in this. And it took him a while. It took him a little bit to gain that trust, but I think he has got it now. I think it takes a while. I can understand it, especially when, I've been on my own all the time too. I did a few projects here and there. I know how it feels like when everything is on your shoulder, but it's so much cooler when you are part of a band. Yeah. Everybody carries a little bit, you know? Yeah. And you don't have to do everything. No. Most of the things you don't have to do, you know? It's amazing.
Yeah, but Kai, he was the main songwriter of Skyfall, right?
He did. That's his song.
He did the song.
His song.
Yeah, okay, completely. Yeah.
Thank God for that song.
Sorry?
It was late. Thank God for that song.
Yeah,
because we were a little worried. There was nothing coming from him for a long time.
No.
And everybody had songs, and he had a few ideas of Skyfall. He came pretty late, but thank God it turned out to be a really, really good song, and that's okay. That everything's fine because it stands for 3 songs.
Yeah, precisely.
So long.
Yeah, and you choose it as the first single. That's quite a big opus.
I wasn't so sure about it. I wasn't so sure. I loved the song, but I thought we do the same crap again as with the Helloween song in the 80s, where they did the video with the cut version. We hated it, but this time Kai did the cut. Back in the days, it was a record company arranged the video, the stupid video, and made the cut. You know, this time it was Kai, and that's why it works. It's almost like a trailer of the song, but it works.
It works.
It's funny that it went so high in the charts even though it's just a cut version of the actual song, you know, and not even very commercially. It's very heavy. It's very speedy.
It's very speedy, very heavy, but yet still with the key melodic elements, which you guys are proud of. Yeah.
Even with Kai, they have that. That's the fun thing. Even like Waltz Jericho, when you listen to it, it's very melodic.
It is. Yeah. And so, what about when we're talking Skyfall? There's, I think it's three different versions of Skyfall. Yeah,
that was the only ego thing we had.
Yeah,
because it was like when I did the vocals with Andy, it was perfect. I flew over to Tenerife, and we were like this. Yeah. We were like, the only thing that we cared about was trying to figure out what's the best for the song, and how can we make the other one shine as much as possible? Really, I'm not just saying it. It's beautiful. It was perfect. It was very often the situation where we had Dennis Ward making some kind of a pre-draft, what he thinks how it could work. So he did a rough splitting for the vocalists, you know, and that's how we tried it. Yeah. And if I did something one evening and I felt uncomfortable, I felt like I don't feel it, you know, I said, you give it a try. And the other way around. There were situations where he thought, you should try that part because I think that could sound great. And that's how we worked.
Yeah. That's how you worked on the whole album?
It was the whole album. Yeah. It was very productive. And the vocal sharing that Dennis Ward did for Skyfall is pretty much what you hear now. So I thought that was all agreed on and stuff, and so I did the vocals for Skyfall, and everybody loved it. And I was like, "Wow, this is the only song that has 100% a keeper vibe." And "Out for the Glory." Yeah, those two are like to me 100% keeper of the 7 Keys spirit. You know, even though they don't. Skyfall doesn't sound like Helloween or Keeper, but it has the vibe. Spirit.
Yeah.
So I was very happy with it, and so were the producers and the management and the whole band. And then Kai said, "I thought I sing the song."
Oof.
And that was for me. It was very difficult. I don't have to sing any song. I don't have that ego thing anymore. I don't care if someone thinks it's a song for someone else. Fine, doesn't make a difference.
No,
you know. But this was hurting me a little because Kai did one song. 30 years for Helloween, and he doesn't want me to sing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was something that was hurting me, and I was kind of sticking my head in the sand, and I was not saying anything. But it was a long discussion over weeks and he was the only one who felt like that he should sing it.
Okay.
Everyone else felt like it's perfect the way it is. Yeah. So there was this sort of thing. He was positioning himself like completely outside of the whole, you know, which was not easy, but we wouldn't have done it without his agreement. No. It's his song, You know, if he doesn't like it, if that's the way he wants it to go down, that's the way it's going to go down, because that's an unwritten law we have. Yeah. You don't do anything that the songwriter is not happy with.
No.
So we were trying to convince him that, yes, you don't sing enough on this album. You know, there should be more parts where you sing, but on the other hand, you didn't do the vocals.
No.
We have sent you. There were parts where we wanted you to sing, and you were too lazy to do it. You wouldn't agree with that, but that's the case. You know, you can talk to the producers. They had parts where they wanted a guy to sing, and he just didn't do it.
That's the interview part 2.
Oh yeah, but that's the reason why we have these various versions. You know, to get away, to make a way possible that everybody's happy with. But it's like the situation for us was when you sing it, Kai, it sounds like Gamma Ray, and this is a Helloween record, and everybody feels like there's a specific magic when you write a song and Kiske sings it. And he feels the same way now. I have an audio recording, which I'm not going to play to you because it's in German, but it's just like maybe 3 weeks old, or maybe 4, where he thanks me to sing on that song.
Perfect.
Because he feels like that has a share in the success of the song. Okay, so that made me feel good, and he knew that he heard me with it, so he wanted to bring across that he is happy now. But that's what I meant with the process. He's the one who's the slowest to understand how a band works, and it's a benefit. But the only reason why we wanted it to go down like that was not my ego or not wanting Kai to sing. It was just the best for the album.
Yeah.
And the best for the song.
The best for the song,
He was doing the vocals afterwards, and nobody felt it sounded better. The stuff he sings now, he sounds great. Mm-hmm. But he was also doing the verses and stuff like that. Yeah. And this very high stuff is just very difficult for him.
Yeah.
You know? And it just didn't sound better. So it was, in the end, just about what's best for the song and what's best for the band and for the whole album. So in the end, we got him with, okay, you know, we make extra versions. We make like special releases where you sing more.
Yeah.
So we have it all. Why not? You know, it's just a good solution. We might even do things like that in the future more often.
Yeah.
You know, when we have a song, for instance, that Andy sings just as well as I. Just from, you know, he can sing as well as I. I don't mean it like that, okay? But that works both ways perfectly. We just do it both, you know, and just put it on like a single, like 2 sides of a single or something like that, you know.
Another thing that I like about this new album is the harmonies. I mean, you have lovely harmonies when you listen to the songs.
It was very naturally going down, especially Andy and Dennis Ward and also Charlie Bauerfeind. They're all very, very good with harmonies. Extremely good. I have a tendency of, you know, just a little harmony here and there, one voice underneath. I'm not a big choir person, you know, but the others are. It's like when you listen to anything that Dennis Ward is producing, where he has an influence on the vocals or even does the vocals with the vocalist, male or female, doesn't matter. You will always have great backings, and he's great with that. And Andy too. I mean, he was with Dennis in Pink Cream '69, and they know each other for ages, and they're very good with these kind of things, and I find it very inspiring. Even, I mean, I know Dennis anyway for many years now, with not only with Unisonic but also like with Plasma Dome and stuff like that. And I also know Charlie from the '90s already. He was part of most of my solo records. He was mixing it, and at least the first 2 or 3 ones.
Yeah.
And, but I found it very helpful. I used to record my vocals always on my own, because I always feel like you gotta be the captain of your ship. You know, when you sing, you gotta do it your way.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta figure out how to do it. And if you need someone else to tell you what is right as a vocalist, you don't have the confidence. You don't. It's not ego. It has to do with identity.
Yeah.
You want your identity to come through. You got to take the song and make it your own, and you got to tell the story. You know what I mean?
Totally. So, it's the personal feeling.
Yeah. That's why I went. Very often you have the situation that someone you record with is trying to bring his ego into your vocals. So it's not really you singing. You just become a tool of that producer or whatever, and he sings through you, trying to make you dance to his ideas. And then you lose your identity. But a good producer doesn't do that. No. A good producer just tries to motivate you. He just tries to get out of you what you got inside and to be even more yourself. And that's how it was with Charlie. He was motivating me. And I think they know it doesn't really matter in the end if they like it. I'm happy when they do. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. But they're not going to decide. They're not going to tell me this is crap or this is good. It's just their taste. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's just
totally.
How they feel. And that's fine. You know, it's like, and I want to know it, how they feel. And maybe I understand something out of that and then I'll try it again. But if I like something, I like it. Yeah. And I'm not redoing it because they don't, you know. No. But it works pretty well. It works. Charlie has a way, like you said, or was it a previous interviewer? Like he has the ability to organize 7 very different people. Very different. You couldn't imagine how different we are. Everyone, they're all good-hearted. You know, that's the thing. They all have a good heart, but they're all very different. Yeah. And to organize that, to bring that together in one band is difficult, and he knows how to do that. I mean, he's been working with this band for years now, and I think that's where that comes from. And he was a help. Yeah. I think I was better because he was there. And he was trying out lots of things he enjoys. Oh, let's try a harmony there. Or how about this? Oh yeah, cool. You know, it went like that. Same with Andy. And that's the way it's got to be. Beautiful. The thing is, Helloween was always a band that with no fear to try out something. If something's cool, you just do it. Yeah. You will always have the people around you that cry about everything that is different. You know, I mean, people are not aware. I mean, when we're looking back now, everybody says, "Yeah, keep up 7 keys, great records or whatever." The ones who like it, of course, but they don't have the slightest clue how difficult it was to make it because we were fighting against the management and against the record label, not understanding what we were doing there. No. They hated Iron Maiden. They hated Dr. Steen. Yeah. They hated We Got the Ride because Walter Jericho sounded very different. And the first keeper was a different sound. You know, it's even more extreme than when you compare the Iron Maiden jump from Paul Di'Anno to Bruce Dickinson. It was this huge jump. Yeah, it was. Like when Dickinson joined Iron Maiden, that's when I liked Iron Maiden because that's what I got a kick out of these vocals. Wow, you know, Paul Di'Anno is a great vocalist, but Bruce Dickinson is a different league. Okay. Totally agree. And when they jumped from our jump was musically much bigger. When you listen to the Killers album, it's Iron Maiden, and it's like Number of the Beast is not from the music not so far away from it. It's an evolution, but it all sounded different because of Bruce. The jump from Walter Jericho to the first keeper was big, and we loved it. We were completely excited, but we actually went in a strike at the band in the studio saying we don't do anything anymore or we do it our way. Okay. We forced them to let us make the album the way we wanted to make it. Yeah. It's like we had the balls to do that. If we wouldn't have the balls to do that, you wouldn't have the Keeper records the way they are.
No, and because of that, you basically created a whole new subgenre within the metal scene.
Playing around with samples and rise and fall. It's a comedy song. It's funny, which is not heard of in metal that much. No. Everything's either dark or serious. and we started to have fun and not being afraid. And that's what I always loved about this band. And whenever we are together, and I feel something scary coming up, something fearful coming up from the management, I don't care about that. I always say, I don't care. I don't care about that. If we think that's cool, we do that. Okay. And you gotta kind of encourage everyone. Mm-hmm. It's like, because you're always surrounded by people that are scared and have these sort of, the most successful album you've done always gets the blueprint of how you are supposed to sound, and it creates a frame which are supposed to be the limits of what you're allowed to do. and creatively, you only survive when you break those down all the time. You can fail, of course. Doesn't mean that the fans support you. It can quickly happen that whatever you do, I understand that now. In those days, in the 80s, I did not understand that because I thought it's artistically right, which it is. But it's understandable that bands cannot always follow everything you go, in the direction you go. And they're not disappointed because they hate you. They're disappointed because they love you. Because they love something you've done, and just can't follow what you follow up with,
And that might also be the reason why fans love this album, your new album, so much, because they can relate to the old school Helloween sound.
But it's a really natural album.
Yeah,
this is how it came. There was no pre-plan, There was no pre-arrangement where this is going to go. Everybody was just writing songs, and then we just picked the ones that we thought were cool. What I'm trying to say is, it's honest, even though it sounds very Helloween in a way that you say that people can relate it, but it's still honest, and that's the most important thing to me. It's got to be honest. If you do an album just because this is what you think everybody wants to hear, it's not honest. But in this case, it falls together, and this is
it does. I mean, you can hear the whole history of Helloween in this album, I think, combined with some new stuff.
When we 7 make an album.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the next one's going to sound different. I'm sure. The songwriters will be even more brave, to try out even other things. Or even if I add something to the game, if they want to do it, I'm sure it's going to sound different.
And so we have Corona and all that shit now, but next year you're going on a big tour with Hammerfall.
It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be awesome, and it's going to be awesome to see you guys hopefully next year.
Yeah, right. Live.
Can we expect some of the new tunes to be played live? Maybe next year?
We can't play just the old songs. I know that there are songs that we just will always have to play certain songs, otherwise they're disappointed, And we're happy to have those. And I don't think that anyone is tired of them yet. You get tired of those songs in the rehearsal room.
Yeah.
But with the audience, you don't.
No.
Because the audience gives it a whole new
dimension
perspective and energy. And when they enjoy it, you enjoy it, And you're happy to have those songs to provoke these kind of reactions, No, we will play some songs. I can guarantee you that we play Skyfall.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're going to do that. Yeah. I'm sure we're going to play Out for the Glory.
Out for the Glory, yeah.
I hope so, because that would be amazing. I would guess maybe like 4 to 5.
Yeah.
Of the new album,
And then I will cross my fingers that you guys will come to Denmark, or else we'll have to come to.
That we will. We will. I just don't know when, because that's not by me. That's the management,
Yeah. Do you remember anything from the last time you were in Denmark? I think it was Copenhagen in 2018. The thing was that Germany was in competition with Sweden in the football.
When was that? 18?
Yeah.
Oh, that was a great year. Everything 18 was great. I enjoyed 18 beginning to end. It was amazing.
Great festival.
I'm not sure if I remember it. There are very few places. You always have to something very special needed to happen.
Yeah.
So for you to remember a specific show, it's like from the stage, everything pretty much looks the same.
Yeah.
You just have lights in your eyes, and you have your stage set, and you see the musicians. But it doesn't differ that much. I mean, festivals do, because festivals are very often, even when you headline, they're very often at daylight, especially when you play in summertime, which usually is the season when festivals go down. And then you have a different kind of memory of things. I remember Japan, which was early 18, and I definitely remember the last concert we did was Rock in Rio.
Damn.
That was the end of 2019. Yeah. That was amazing. It was unbelievably great. It was fantastic. It's great to have a concert like that as the last memory, And it was funny. We had, even though the hotel was maybe when you would just drive normally through, it would maybe be 20 minutes to the festival area. But since it is a huge festival where over 100,000 people show up, they said come 3 hours earlier. So we came 3 hours earlier, but we still was stuck in traffic that much that I almost missed the show. I was in an extra van that they picked me and I think it was just me. I think Andy went earlier.
Yeah.
It was me and a Brazilian friend of mine that I was in the van with. And there was an entrance to Rock in Rio for the artist. Mm-hmm. You could avoid a huge turn that takes an hour, like, to go there. But the guy in the entrance didn't care that I was supposed to be on stage. He had his order to let through these and these cars. We had the sign to be part of the festival. He didn't let us through. It didn't matter what we said. So I almost missed the gig. We walked. We got out of the car, and security guys was running with me to the place. I didn't have time to warm up. I jumped into my stuff, went on stage, and it was a great show. The funny thing is, Jan, usually you as a singer are supposed to be pissed about a situation like that, but it was not really anyone's fault apart from the security guy. That we hope got punished for it, but I don't think so. But it's like I was in a great mood. I don't know. It didn't bother me that much. And the gig was amazing. It was great. We played right in front of Iron Maiden.
Oi.
Yeah. And I hope one day we're going to headline that. Actually, there was something planned.
Yeah.
Last year. I don't know how far these things came, or of course everything was canceled.
Yeah.
But there was talks. There were talks in 2019 to do a few shows with Maiden together, because it went so well last time. It's like in 88 or 89. Mm-hmm. Was it 88 or 89? When was Seventh Son of a Seventh Son?
I think that was 88. I mean, it was I was born 2 years later. But
we did that tour. It was the tour Seventh Son of a Seventh Son, and we were opening up for Iron Maiden. And we had Keeper 2 release. We were completely at our peak in those days. And it was so cool. Yeah, it was so cool, because the Iron Maiden audience understands us completely. Yeah. So it's like when we went on stage, it was just as loud. It was just as loud. And we always liked the Iron Maiden guys, you know. They're very cool guys. And the whole package was amazing. I will never forget that. It was great. It was and something like that. I mean, we're big enough now to do most of the stuff on our own now. Okay. But still, when Maiden plays like something really big and they need a bit more,
please call us.
To ask us. But obviously, everything changed in 2020.
So, Michael, it was so great to talk with you. Do you have any kind of last words for the Danish metal and Helloween fans? I mean, the podcast will be released on the day of the album comes out.
10 days. Okay. Yeah, I mean, we will definitely play Denmark. This will never be left out. I mean, this is always part of our playing. In general, you know, I want to say something very unusual, but I know how things going to go down in the future, in the next coming years, but also with Corona, has a lot to do with our actions. It has a lot to do what we make out of it. Yeah. And there was another interview that I ended almost the same way. But I think it's a good thing to send out there in general, not just for the Danish people, but in general. Yeah. It's like you very often hear the statement, I can't change the world, you know? I can't save the world. No, an individual can't. You know, you can't, I can, but I can't. You can't, I can. No, it's like the individual alone can't, but you can change your world. I can change my world every day. And it matters what you make with the moment, you know? I always say these kind of things because I'm totally convinced about it. We are living a lot worse than we are. We are a lot better than most of us are living. Yeah. We understand a lot more what's right and what's wrong than our actions are. And if everyone who cares, everyone who believes in good and has a heart, does what is right in the moment, wherever you are, in the job we're doing, in the daily things we do with each other, if we do always what we feel is humanly the right thing to do, the world will change. Yeah. If everybody does that, there's no stopping. No. It's going to change, you know. But too few people do that. And I think this Corona kind of thing, I know it. I know it is coming from the good gods. It's something that they throw over us so that we wake up a little, because we are supposed to live better than we are now. We're destroying Earth. We don't give a damn about each other. You know, we should be more brothers and sisters. We should be more understanding the world as a unit. We are one humanity. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter, you know, what kind of skin color you have. It matters who you are. That's all that matters. And I think that's the huge lesson to learn. And that's what is so brilliant about the coronavirus. You know, this is no disrespect for the people who suffered. It's no disrespect for the people who got ill or even died. This is sad. This is sad, okay? But the genius about this sort of karma thing is that it affects everyone. The whole world. It doesn't matter if it's Metallica, if it's Helloween, or if it's Katy Perry or Taylor Swift. They all can't play live. You know, they all have to wait. And we all are together in this. And the more the demons make people go against each other, it's their fault. They are doing this to us. You know, this conspiracy kind of stuff. I don't want to glorify medicine. You know, there's a lot of corruption in there too. But I'm really believing that they're trying to help as much as they can, you know, with their possibilities. And the more people get against each other and search for people they can blame, you know, the more the demons win. And the more we learn to work together with each other and protect each other and trying to be reasonable, the sooner this will be over. And whenever we can go back on stage again and tour again, I think there will be a whole new appreciation for this for everyone. We will appreciate that in a way, and I hope it's going to last. But I know that there will be those and those. There will be like, people will learn and others will not learn. Some people will get better and others will get worse. But the more people wake up on a human level, the less things like that are necessary.